Ladies and gentlemen, this is Alan with an episode of the Morlog Morning Digest, and it's been about 4 years since I talked to a lot of you guys. For that, I want to say I apologize, but most importantly, thank you for being here again. And I know I don't owe you guys any explanation as to why I wasn't here, right? But I feel as though a lot of you deserve one. And today is not the day to do that, but I promise you, you will get an explanation in the near future. And I want to thank anybody who reached out and asked how I was doing in my absence. With all of that being said, I want to talk about some writing on the wall that you guys probably won't expect to hear coming from me if you know me, okay? But I promise you, everything I'm about to say is completely justifiable and backed by historic precedents. And I want to begin by saying I voted for Donald Trump 3 times. The first time I was a sycophant. The second time I was just completely sick of everything that was going on with COVID, etc. And the third time I was just exhausted and wanted change. And I think that's how a lot of America felt, considering that, he won the popular vote for the first time for the Republicans since 2024. All 8 swing states went Republican. 84% of the counties in the country, right, leaned Republican for the first time in a long time. We haven't seen stuff like that since Reagan. Now, with all of that being said, people wanted change. And I'm going to steelman the left's argument here for a minute, okay? And I want you guys to look at this with an open mind and understand that it is coming from somebody who thinks like you do, who feels like you do, who has the same values as a lot of you do, okay? I am a moral person. I live my life by a code that I think is divine, and by me saying that, I do nothing that I wouldn't want to answer to face with my creator, okay? Now, with that, I have to take responsibility for my actions and how they affect the world around me. And in me saying that, I have to accept the consequences for what may happen in the future because of who I chose to vote for. And I would not be doing any service to anybody, including myself or my creator, if I did not voice my concerns out loud. And I have tried to make a lot of videos today. I have cried on the camera trying to record for you guys, and none of it felt right. It didn't feel natural. I felt out of place in front of this video camera, and I've never felt like that before. But not when I sat down to talk about this, okay? The course that we are moving in as a country is terrifying, okay? The potentiality for Trump to do things that are irreprehensible are immense. And the reason that I am so terrified is because we as a population, right, have gotten so desensitized to the actions that are being taken place in our name that we lack all context for our responsibility, okay? We spent 4 years with Biden as our president, and we all knew that the emperor had no clothes. He was standing there waving his dick right in front of our faces, and we did nothing. We allowed his administration to pull the strings behind the scenes, knowing that he was incapable of doing his job cognitively, right? And we all just went along with it, right? And we're doing the same thing again, but in a much more dangerous way. Because the person in office now has an agenda. And not only does he have an agenda, He is out for retribution. It is personal. It's not business. They went after this man for 10 years. They dug everything that they possibly could on him. They went after his family. They went after his businesses. They went after anybody who knew him. They threw his lawyers in jail. They threw his supporters in jail. It is personal. He is out for retribution and vengeance. And somebody who is motivated by such things is capable of terrifying things. And history tells us that this is possible. We have seen dictators, tyrants come and go. We have seen people across the world slaughtered by the millions, billions, and it always starts the same way. It starts with a charismatic leader who delivers for his people, unites them under one banner, and moves forward at breakneck speeds to achieve their agenda. Their agenda. Not the agenda of their people, but their agenda. And to tell me that Trump is any different, you're lying to yourself, because I'm not buying it. And like I said, I voted for the guy 3 times. Now this is part of human nature. And this is why I have always said anybody that wants the job of president should not have it, because if you seek that power, you don't deserve it. There was another historical figure known as Adolf Hitler, and allow me to steel man the left's argument here, okay? Because if they made the argument from the right place, there's no way that you'd be able to argue with it. And that's how I've come to the conclusion that I've came to, okay? Because they're not wrong, they just come to it from the wrong angle. Very few people understand that Hitler targeted the Jews long before the country turned against the Jews. Most people don't even understand this, but like when Hitler first rose to power as Führer, right? He wanted to target the Jews almost instantly. So you know what he did? This was before the Great Depression hit. This was before the turnaround of unemployment. This was before his economy re-engaged. Okay, this is before he provided anything to his people. Right? This is before he delivered on anything. He decided that he was going to issue a boycott against Jewish-owned businesses. And the people of the country, right, went along with the boycott for 2 days, if that, and then it just disappeared. And you want to know why? Because why is a population of people going to get behind an idea of a man who has delivered absolutely nothing for them? Right? They knew it was morally wrong to do so, some of them. I would almost guarantee that most of them decided not to go along with it just because it was inconvenient for them to do so, right? A lot of the shops they went to, they were Jewish owned. They always have been. Who cares if a Jew owns it? That's how they were thinking, because it really shouldn't matter, right? But the point that I'm trying to drive home here is Hitler, as a leader, had delivered nothing to his people. There was no reason for them to show loyalty to his ideas, right? Trump is doing the same thing. Right? The first 4 years, he tried to go after the illegal immigrants. And guess what? He didn't deliver anything for the people yet. There was nothing there other than a populist idea representing a platform that hadn't been represented before. But the only thing he delivered for them was a political win. And to be fair with you, they delivered that to themselves. They could have elected anybody like they did Trump. They just chose to put it behind him. He did a lot of that with his charisma. I'm not saying that, right? But he owes that victory to us. It's not the other way around, okay? But what Trump is in the process of doing right now is building that trust with us. He went after the border the first time, and guess what? There was too much opposition, right? Even the people that wanted to get behind it, it wasn't worth them to do so socially and go gung-ho behind it, because they were targeted just like Trump was. He didn't deliver anything, so the population didn't get behind him. The same as Hitler when he went after the boycott against the Jews, okay? Direct parallel. Now, Trump has delivered since then, okay? For Christ's sakes, man, he had a resurrection pretty much on national TV when he got shot in the ear. Okay? It was his miracle moment. It's like he rose as a phoenix from the ashes. He delivered. He fought against all of that adversity. He fought for the people that were arrested on January 6th. My whole point here is, I'm not trying to say that what he did was right or wrong. My whole point is, he delivered for his base in a way that no other politician in history, or at least modern history, ever has. Ever has. And Hitler did the same thing. After they went through that first boycott and his population said, no, we're not going along with it, he waited a few years, right? The Great Depression hits. He turns around and does a great new deal of his own and gets the entire fucking country working, right? Little did his people know that they were actually building a war-based economy for him, and that's the only reason they managed to bring unemployment out of the hole so quickly, right? But it's irrelevant. He delivered, so the people got behind him. Life got exponentially better, continuously, right? They were on the verge of having nothing for generations to all of a sudden being one of the most wealthy nations in the entire world again, okay? At that point, Hitler can do whatever he wants because the population is behind him. So Kristallnacht happens, okay? Violence is encouraged in the streets. The average citizen is going out and beating Jews in the street, right? Shortly thereafter, we know what happens. We know what happens according to history. We know about the 6 million Jews that supposedly died. Regardless of whether you believe historical events or not, my point still stands, is none of that would have been possible if Hitler didn't deliver for his people in ways that had never historically been done before. Trump is in the process of doing the same thing. He targeted the illegal immigrants the first time around, it didn't take, right? He targets the immigrants this time around, right? He targets the corruption this time around. He tried before, it didn't take. All of what he wants to do now, everybody's getting behind it, and they're getting behind it with jet fuel in their engines. And they are pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and they're giving Trump more and more and more power. And what few people understand is, even though it looks good, even though I can agree with a lot of the stuff he's doing as far as Doge and the abuse of wealth and power and all of that, and how he's fixing all of that, to what means, right? To what end are the means that he's doing? What is he pushing? What is his agenda? And he hasn't been honest with us about that. Make America great again. For who? Whose vision of America? Because I'm telling you right now, I do not want to live in a country where I have to worry about wearing a political hat down the street because I'm worried somebody's going to shoot me. I don't want to go to work and not be able to talk about what's important because everybody is so goddamn divided. And it's getting to the point where it's not going to take a lot to convince people that violence is the answer. Right? And the rhetoric may not be violent yet, but the frenzy that it is creating will lead to that. I voted for him 3 times. And I'm going to be responsible for the outcome. What you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to admit when the time comes that you gave this man too much power if he decides to overstep? Will you stand next to your enemy and fight for them because it's morally the right thing to do? And that's what makes America great. It's not our economy. It's not even the people. It's the ideal. It's the ideal that I am willing to die for somebody who I do not agree with because we are free. And that has been lost on us. Mostly because none of us have ever had to fucking earn a thing, myself included. We haven't had to earn a thing. We've had everything handed to us. We have stood on the shoulders of giants for generations without paying the price ourselves. And we're on that precipice right now. And I promise you, we will end up paying that price if we're not careful. And I swear to God, I will be the first one screaming from the rooftops, I'm responsible, and this is wrong. I pray to God that I don't have to, but it terrifies me that I will. And if things keep moving at the pace and in the direction that they are, you can take it to the bank. Go back and watch all my other videos from 4 years ago about the political landscape and what I thought was going to happen. I was right about a lot more than I was wrong about, and I'm not wrong about this. God bless all of you, and thank you for joining me again. I will be around more often. Content will slowly ramp up. If you're a returning viewer, say hi in the comments and let me know that you're back. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I want to avoid politics, like partisan politics. I'm not going to ignore what's going on in the world around us, but I'm done taking sides. I don't want to be responsible anymore. I'm sick of watching the emperor walk around with no clothes and being okay with it. I'm disgusted at my existence, from my addictions to the conditions that we as a society choose to live in. I'm sick of walking around in a mental hospital overpopulated by zombies that only constitute another obstacle to peace. And you should be too. God bless and have a good day.